think the other big measuring stick game is Michigan against Nebraska. Two young quarterbacks going head-to-head. You got the sophomore Dylan Raiola for the Huskers, freshman Bryce Underwood for the Wolverines. You see the numbers so far. Raiola far more accurate. Remember, Underwood had the tough outing against Oklahoma. A week ago, the rushing column would have read -6 for Underwood, but he had a huge day with his legs against Central Michigan. Between them, just one interception was thrown by Underwood last week. So as you break these two teams down, Jerry, what separates them in your mind?
Yeah, there's a lot of separation. I'll start with schedule. The fact that Michigan went into Oklahoma, their freshman quarterback had an average day because he was tested for the first time since being at Michigan. So you look at both quarterbacks. Obviously, they're of different style, right? Underwood is a threat in the run game, not only by scrambling but by play design. Dylan Raiola is not a threat in the run game, so there's a major difference there. The other thing is Michigan is a much more physical team, and you really see that with the offensive line of both teams, and this really distinguishes these two teams. Michigan's offensive line is more of a gap scheme, more of an aggressive attacking offensive line. Nebraska is more of a zone team that fits well with their passing attack, but there is a significant difference in that part of the game. The other difference is the schedule that Nebraska has played. There was never really a pass rush that they were challenged with. We've seen all the numbers. The passing numbers are incredible.
Yeah.
But they've never faced a team that can really pass rush. Michigan can do that. And because of the weak schedule, they've never faced a back end, a secondary, where it was hard to break coverage. So I would think the biggest challenge for Nebraska's offense, they have to keep the run game involved in the game plan. This can't become a pass rush where the only thing Nebraska's trying to do is throw the ball against Michigan's defense. First of all, they're going to have protection problems, and they're going to have breaking coverage problems. So these are drastically two different styles of play.
Yeah, no doubt. And Nebraska has been really reliant on Emmett Johnson running the ball. But as you say, and we're seeing the highlights here, it's much more of a passing attack. To your point, they've only given up 9 tackles for loss, but I think a lot of that is a function of who they played. I want to ask you kind of a similar question of what we were talking about with Indiana. We've been talking about this with Nebraska now. They haven't won a game against a ranked team, Jerry, in 9 years. The last time was they beat Oregon in 2016. They've lost 27 in a row. The schedule laid out so beautifully for them to get this game at home against a Michigan team that is ranked, but I think we can all agree is also a team in transition, a team without its head coach all week this week in Sharon Moore. Remember last week he could participate in practice. It was midnight the night before the game where he had to separate from the team, but he's away from the team all week this year. Kind of a similar question to what we were talking about with Indiana, but how important is it for Nebraska put all those streaks behind them and show that this year is different and that maybe we should be talking about them as a CFP contender?
Well, I would say to you, one of the reasons it's incredibly important is that the style of play that Michigan is going to play against Nebraska is going to be the most successful style of play in the Big Ten. If you look at Oregon, they're a physical team. If you look at Penn State, they're a physical team. If you look at Ohio State, they're a physical team. And so the best teams in this conference are going to play at the line of scrimmage a similar style.